Mrs. Brayton wheeled in the TV and turned it on. She had never interrupted her class before. We watched the live broadcast of Apollo 11 on the moon. I was mesmerized. One moment watching an ant crawl on my desk. The next, I was in space. I was on the moon with the astronauts. What I saw wasn't processing. This is what people do? I was hooked. I wanted to be an astronaut. After the mid-70s, we were told by media experts we'd have a permanent moon base by the 1990s. The shuttle and ISS were reasoned that they'd be a launch pad to build rockets in space for the moon. But that never happened. And after 40 years, Orion was promptly crushed by the White House. No, we're not going back to the moon, but we should. So the motivation of the original moon missions was political. JFK, the speech we can all quote, the space race with the Russians. Aside from the great public fervor, it was the technical accomplishment that changed the world. The challenge of putting a man on the moon inspired the most incredible ideas and advanced civilization because of them. We've all heard, we've already been to the moon. We should go to Mars. Well, we've never lived on an extraterrestrial body. Why not go to the moon first so we can learn and actually have a chance at rescue if needed? Or maybe you've heard, but the billions spent on NASA could be better spent feeding the hungry or providing shelter for the poor. I'd argue that they have, and by creating a permanent moon base, they do so even more. Think about it. We still benefit from Apollo's innovations. Here's just a few. The Mylar blanket saves lives each year, providing inexpensive shelter and protection from cold and fire. Freeze-dried food is a staple for the military and rescue missions around the world. Water purification has helped arid communities have clean drinking water. Velcro, solar panels, the integrated circuit, small computers, networks, and most of our computer age are all recipients of Apollo's gift. Imagine what technology a moon base would require and how that innovation would filter down to humanity. To build a base, we'd have to come up with a more economical way of getting hardware into space. People would have to grow their own food in a harsh environment, which means miniature, efficient growing systems. The habitat itself would have to be amazing, but the result could be applied here on Earth as portable shelters. Biopurification, medicine, engineering, clothing, recycling, and new forms of manufacturing would all get a huge bump. In a few hundred years, this will be a moot point. A moon base will be there, probably several. So we will do this at some point. But when? Not going to the moon again is like having Dad pay for a PhD, but you'd rather work at McDonald's. It's our responsibility to continue the progress made by the 400,000 people employed during the peak of the Apollo missions. If we don't, then the credit will go to SpaceX or maybe China. NASA has a legacy of pushing the boundaries of humanity. The world's heart beat as one on that day in 1969. It can happen again. I still want to be an astronaut. Who knows? John Glenn did it in his 80s.